Hello, I'm Ben Radcliffe. I'm a media and entertainment technical specialist with Unity Technologies. I've been with Unity about 2.5 years. And before that, I was working in the film and visual effects industry for about 20 years, doing everything animation, visual effects, film, location-based entertainment. I started off at VeggieTales. I worked on their first animated feature, Jonah, a VeggieTales movie. And from there, I jumped around. I worked at DreamWorks for a while on Shrek 2, and then Sony Pictures Animation on Polar Express. And then from there, I moved to Disney Feature Animation, did some feature films there. And then I spent about 8 years in Asia as an overseas CG supervisor, working on a whole bunch of animated series, theme park attractions. And ultimately, I was the CG supervisor of the Star Wars: The Clone Wars animated series. After that, I jumped over to Industrial Light and Magic and swapped over from animation and started working in the visual effects industry, working on all kinds of projects from Star Trek to Transformers to The Jungle Book to Avengers. Most recently, before joining Unity, my last two projects were Avengers 3 and Avengers 4, where I was lead digital artist. Well, the way I got started was when I was growing up. I was kind of young when Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out. I know a lot of people credit Star Wars as their, the film that inspired them to get into the industry. But for me, it was Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because that for me was really magical at the time, where it was all the different styles of animation combined with live action visual effects. So that really inspired me, and that kind of in the industry spawned like an animation revolution. So I very quickly jumped on digital tools and started learning 3D tools, and back then it was Silicon graphics machines. I started off working in an aerospace company because that was the only company that had the $200,000 worth of software and hardware, so I wanted to learn these tools. And then from there, I kind of jumped back into animation, going to VeggieTales. Every project is unique and different, and it's surprising how your past experiences set you up for your future experiences. So I had been working in visual effects, I had been working in animation, I was very passionate about storytelling, regardless of the medium. And just everything starts to go to real time, whether it be virtual production or real-time motion capture animation. So I got really passionate about that, and I got passionate about AR and VR and all the exciting things that real time bring. So I joined Unity, and what I'm doing at Unity, it's everything and anything. When I joined the company, it was about 1,500 people. Now I think it's 6,000 people. So the company is exploding and growing, and I'm working with all the different companies. So it's everything from working with R&D, giving feedback, working with customers, getting their feedback on tools, or working with the community through webinars and workshops, trying to help people tell stories. The way we create, distribute, and consume stories is changing, and it's changing more rapidly every day. What my personal mission is at Unity is I want to enable the creators of tomorrow to tell their stories. Star Wars: The Clone Wars, that was just an amazing experience, a unique place in time. It was George Lucas's passion project. He was still actively involved. A lot of really fancy, talented, experienced people left ILM to work on this project. And it was kind of created in a bubble where George just said, I'm going to make 100 episodes. I don't care about finances or money. He built a team and said, these are the stories that I want to tell. We are telling bigger stories over multiple episodes and telling arcs, but it was all about the storytelling and getting the point across. And we were world building before it was trending. It was a truly amazing experience.
Something is rising. Something sinister.
I didn't work on the first two Avengers, but I was at the company and I was on different teams at the time, and I always wanted to work on it, and it just never worked out. The movies got so big in scale, which was amazing. People don't understand how fluid and dynamic, especially a Marvel movie is. Marvel would, film their whole movie, and they would film it, say, for example, in summer, and then you would have the entire fall for post-production for a summer release. Well, they would get it together in that final cut before they started really doing the visual effects. A lot of the characters aren't designed. A lot of Iron Man's armor isn't designed. A lot of this stuff, it's in concept artwork, but it's not fully realized as a visual effect. So that's always fluid and dynamic. To work on it was, a very rewarding process. To say the least. We're doing tests for Iron Man, and we're working with, the Marvel side visual effects supervisor and their creative team. And, they're going through the history of Iron Man's armor with us. A lot of times, we were designing the props in visual effect. Another example of that would be the Stark Tech Infinity Gauntlet. Like, we were going over revisions and what does that tech look like? I personally worked on the new Asgard stuff with the fat Thor and the smart Hulk. I did the sequence where he puts the Stark Tech glove on. So it was really amazing to be part of that process. And in every single detail, I knew Tony Stark died like 2 years before everyone else, and I was sworn to secrecy. So I had to hold that with me. That was kind of painful.
I love you 3000.
It's an amazing, exhausting, creatively rewarding experience. And I think when you see those videos of the YouTube reactions of the audience cheering and all that, it kind of makes it worth it. The biggest challenge of making any film is it's collaborative and it's people and it's communicating ideas effectively. And I think that has been the challenges, because everyone has a different opinion. How do you convince people that your idea is right, or how do they convince you? And that's one of the things about film, is everyone's so passionate, it can get kind of heated at times. To be successful in any collaborative art form, you need three things, and it's mutual goals, mutual trust, and mutual respect. And hopefully the goal of everyone, I think, is to tell the best story and create the best film. When you work on these films at that level, I mean, everyone's pretty good at what they do. Even the guy who's the weakest link in the chain is probably a pretty strong link in the chain. And then it's all about trust. A lot of, making films is kind of like that baton handoff in a relay race. And you got to start running with the arm behind their back, and you got to trust that they're going to be there to put the baton in your hands. If I had any advice to give anyone, I would say just go for it. Pick your passion. Everyone told me, you'll never go work at Disney, it's impossible, the odds are against you. You're gonna have to work hard. If you care about it and you're passionate about it, that's not a problem. Just go for it all the way. Don't back down, don't quit, don't let anyone dissuade you. My biggest problem in hindsight is I never set my sights high enough. I thought my goals were impossible, and then I just put my head down, was passionate, focused on what I wanted to do, and just did it. And then never looked back. Focus and don't give up.